Hi Nicole, it's Lisa. It's time to look at your project now. Don't want you to be discouraged by the challenges of this program. AutoCAD is not intuitive to us designers. It's designed for engineers. We use it, we have to use it, but it's not an easy learning curve. And believe me, I understand your challenges. When I was first learning AutoCAD, I had nightmares about it every single night. If you can be a little more specific about what's giving you trouble, like the copy command is driving you crazy, I'll put together a tutorial for whatever it is. But just understand, this is not a program that is designed for designers. It's designed for geeks. Not that they're bad people, they just think differently. Okay, so having said that, and acknowledging that you said you had a difficult time, frankly, it looks really pretty good. The windows seem to be in the right place. They seem to be the right size. Your doors look good. Everything seems to be on about the right layer. Where I can see that you definitely had a challenge was this bay window, and we'll get back there in a second. I wanted to kind of draw your attention to a couple of other little things. As I've mentioned to others, how you work with the break line here is a matter of choice of whether you put one in. If you are going to put one in, it needs to be bigger. This is probably scaled to the default size, which was 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale that up by a bit so that we can actually see it. Come on. There we go. Ta-da! And then we can trim it off and it looks nice. Generally speaking, if it doesn't look right on the screen, it's not going to look right. Excuse me. The other thing is that you've lost your handrail here for this section of the stair that is open to below, so you're going to want to fix that. Now then, one of the things we learn when we're learning AutoCAD and learning to draft is we learn to start thinking about what we're drawing as pieces of the building, because every line that we draw represents something real. It represents something real that goes in the building. Just like, here you've got this plus or minus correct. You can edit this with grips when you learn to do that later. But here you've got the shell of the building that's built first, and then the partition that's built inside of it, and that's separated, and it's clear and it makes sense. So what I'm going to encourage you to think about next is in terms of thresholds. Thresholds, pretty obviously, we have thresholds in many places in buildings, and primarily we think about them at exterior doors, but there are other places that they happen. A lot of times we'll have a material shift at a door, and so we want to represent that material shift. But where there's not a material shift at the door, then we don't need to think about that so much. So I would encourage you to come back and look at each of these lines that you've drawn. And you may have to go look around your house a little bit to see where the material shifts from room to room happen. Where are the thresholds? Is a threshold one line or is it two? Go look, okay? But one of the things I will say is think about what the materials are here. What would the material in this room be? Would it be a hardwood? Would it be a carpet? Would that material continue into these bedrooms? This is how we communicate our design decisions about what is happening. I think if this were a house I were designing, there would definitely be a material shift here at the laundry room doors. Okay, so where does that line go? Does it go, would we put the material shift at the front edge? Well, probably I wouldn't, because then we'll be able to see it from outside the door. Would we put it at the, I'd probably put it back here at the back side. Undo. End point right there. Okay? So think about those thresholds. Think about what they represent and how the materials change and where that material change happens. Okay? General comment doesn't really count for much in terms of your grade, but it's something, it counts something very big in terms of design communication. It's about what we do. Now let's go over here and look at our friend the bay window. This guy was a bit of a challenge, wasn't it? Okay, so what have we got here? Okay, like Tina, you've got these made as a P-line. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to go get this explode command that no longer looks like a stick of dynamite, and I'm going to explode it. Okay, now then, this needs to look like a window just like it does on our PDF, and just like the other windows that we've got. Now, the way you've started this gives us a little different way to approach it than the others. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, given how you've already started it, is I am going to match properties so that all of these lines are on the window layer. Now then, we know that this big window right here is 4 feet wide. So I'm going to draw a line at the middle here so that I can offset it for both sides of my window. And you know what else I'm going to do? I am going to make the window layer the current layer. Isolate, previous, unisolate, make objects layer current. Yeah. I don't know why they had to go change all the freaking icons this time, but they did. I'm not happy. But I'm adapting. Okay, so I'm going to offset this line 24 inches to each side. Okay, I am going to match its properties to the rest of my window. I'm going to erase this one in the middle because I don't need it. And then I am going to trim this one. Now then, down here in my command line, as I mentioned, it's telling us what we need to do next. Every command we enter, it shows us stuff down here in the on the command line. So we enter a command. I type them because I'm a fogey. We're not going to go any further than that. It has current settings. We're not going to worry about that. Select cutting edges. And now it says select objects. So you want to select the objects that are going to be kind of the cookie cutters, the knives for what you're trimming. Well, I'm trimming off this piece of this line that is above this line. So this is the cutting edge that I want. Okay, now I'm done selecting my cutting edge, so I'm going to hit enter. Now I need to select the objects to trim. Well, that's this piece of this line. I want the other piece there. And now I'm done. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a line here. And now, hooray, we have our big window drawn. Okay, so now let's draw the little windows. And I'm going to do that in a very similar way. I'm going to draw a line from midpoint to the perpendicular of that line. And then I'm going to offset it 6 inches. So 6 inches to that side and 6 inches to that side. I'm going to erase this line. I'm going to draw a new line here. Okay, now I don't like the way that that is sitting right here on this corner. That doesn't look right, does it? So I am going to move this, and I'm going to move it from this end point of that line right there to that end point right there, and I think that looks better, don't you? Okay, so now then, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim out these pieces of these lines out here. Okay, so trim, trim, and I want to click. Okay, because I want everything that's left to be on the window layer, right? Stick with me, stick with me. Okay, I'm doing this kind of a little odd way. I'm going to trim this one off over here too. Okay, now I'm going to draw, I'm going to turn on the wall layer, and I'm going to draw a line that is an extension of my window line. And I'm going to draw a line here that goes straight. Whoops, I didn't do a good job of that, did I? Okay, I'm just going to draw this longer than I need it. I'm going to draw another line from here, extending this line. Come on. Okay, that's not going to be that easy. Maybe I'll just copy this one. If things aren't working, there's always another way to do it. So I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to copy it from this endpoint there to this endpoint here. Oops, didn't do that right. Okay, so I want it to go right there. Okay. Now then, I'm going to fillet this one to this one. I'm going to go ahead and offset both of these 6 inches, which is the thickness of the wall. And then I'm going to fillet this one to this one, and this one to this one. Okay, now I could repeat that whole process and draw that over here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to erase that line, and I'm going to mirror all that happy stuff. First point of the mirror line is going to be the midpoint of my window, and I'm going to go straight, and ta-da, we have a bay window. Okay, so the point is, there's lots of ways to do that. I just kind of went with the way that made the most sense based on what you had there. You could do it the way that I did Tina's. Find the way that works the best for how you think. The program is very flexible. Okay, let me know if you need more specific tutorials on a specific command or a specific thing, and I'll do my best to get you one. Hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.